I knew it. The government is watching us. Looks like even Wyoming is not safe from prying eyes and drones. This is the 2014 Wyoming Shrine Bowl football game between the North and the South. First quarter, North wearing the brown, and on defense, they got Chris Ruert of Wheatland scrambling. Brad Gillis is going to drag him down for an 11-yard loss, and more importantly, that would back the South up to the other side of the 50. Good start. After a change of possession, the South would return the favor. Austin Fort of Gillette is heading to the University of Wyoming, but Garrett Gregg of Star Valley is going to introduce him to the ground. A 7-yard loss, and we are right back where we started from. More defense coming up, but this one was different. Ruert is looking for a receiver. He thinks he has someone at midfield, but he threw into double coverage, and Kirk Dirchty of Kelly Walsh will get the interception. He was the defensive MVP and also had 13 tackles on the game. 4 plays later, the North would cash in. Sam Turner of Natrona in a quarterback. He has the distance on this throw. He just needs the receiver to get there, and Austin Patterson got there in time for a 24-yard touchdown catch, plus the 2-point conversion that would make the score 8-0. The South had to counter. Austin Matthews of Douglas now taking the snaps, and he's looking for a Bearcat teammate of his. Chance Miller is going one-on-one with Hayden Crago of Powell. Douglas has some unfinished business with the Panthers. They won that exchange for a 39-yard gain, and they were in business. They would work their way into the red zone, but they had to finish. Matthews with a quick pass to Nick Bloom of Rock Springs. Those two players hooked up a lot. South trails 8-7. Still in the first quarter, here comes the North. Fort, he has better protection this time, and he finds a wide-open Nick Gill from Sheridan, who will turn this into a 30-yard gain. The Camels and Broncs may be rivals, but they put aside their differences to make this play work and keep the drive going. So far, we have seen a lot from the big school players. Let's get the small school players in. Sterling Baker out of DuBois. He will take the long way around to get 3 yards, and it also got his team 6 points, and that is what counts. PAT no good, and the North was up 14-7 after the first 15 minutes. Second quarter, turnovers were starting to become a problem for the South. Matthews would hit his target, just not in the way he wanted to. Crago snags that ball out of midair and shows why he and his Powell buddies won 3 straight 3A state titles. Moving on, the North was marching. Fort, making sure this play had Camels written all over it. Chris Adams with the catch. He would then elude 2 tacklers and score from 14 yards out. Fort was the offensive MVP. He was 8 of 15 passing for 103 yards, and that was his only TD toss. The score is now 21-7. Here comes more, and Fort would spread the love around this time. He's looking for yardage and a 1A receiver in the form of Preston Wardell out of Burlington. A 31-yard pickup, and having a UW-bound player on your team can make a difference. The North was knocking on the door again, and Gillis decided to let himself in from 1 yard out. That was not too difficult, but he made it look that way. Plus 2 more, and the scoreboard now reads 29-7. The South needed to do something soon, or else it was going to be a long comeback, and we like plays like this one. Matthews to Bloom for 17 yards and a score right in front of the camera. The Southern boys trailed 29-13 going into the locker room. Third quarter, the South was in the red zone again, but this play was a disaster. Matthews is going to get sacked by Gillis, and this play is not over. We have a loose ball, and it's still in bounds. Jack Missouri of Lander will scoop it up, and he will go all the way. 77 yards on the fumble return. That sound you heard was all the air going out of the South's balloon. The North is ahead 35-13, but the South kept trying. Matthews was 22 of 39 for 289 yards with 2 touchdown passes, while Bloom caught both TDs and 156 yards. Both of those yardage numbers are Shrine Bowl records. Here the 2 hook up again for a 45-yard pickup. The South would get into the red zone 4 times, but they only scored their first trip in. Most of their yardage came in between the 20s. Despite the score, there was more defense to be had. Turner is going to get run over by Sam Gertz of Star Valley. Tristan Walker of Mountain View recovers the fumble to snuff out that drive, and the score would stay at 35-13 going into the final 15 minutes. Fourth quarter, this may have been the blooper of the game. Really bad punt, and the ball ends up in the hands of Eric Williams of Cheyenne East. This play would have been awesome had he scored. He gave the South good field position, but again, they could not do anything in the red zone. This highlight was not supposed to happen the way that it did, but then again, this may have been the blooper. It was largely in part to some really poor tackling, and when you let a six-man player like Baker bust loose and score like this, it's over. 34 yards, props to Baker, who ran for 121 yards in the game. The North would win this one 41-13.